Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo. Hello, everyone. I hope this finds you in good health and secure. That's saying a lot these days in the world, but hopefully you are taking care of your health and you're safe. I have been struggling with this equipment. So, hopefully I'll sort it out after this video and I'll be able to do the video I want to do. This discussion of Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo, MyoHoRenGeKyo in particular, and MyoHoRenGe specifically. This book that I put together of several of Nichiren's writings, which we're going through one by one here, has been very useful for our discussion about the meaning of each character, of the sounds, of the vibrations, of the recitations of MyoHoRenGeKyo. Yeah. But I have my own, shall I say, contemporaneous, modern to us. 1,000 years from now will be ancient, but for now, we understand the world differently than 800 years ago in medieval Japan, let alone 3,000 years ago in Shakyamuni's world. Yeah. So what we're reading, and which is an opportunity for us to discuss in modern terms, the meaning, the significance, the purpose of MyoHoRenGeKyo, is couched in a lot of this old rhetoric, which, apologies, something. And so I have discussed this subject in my books, the book on the independent Nichiren practice, right? The long title, available on lulu.com, right? /spotlight/Kwun. The links are in the video. And I think I put them in the descriptions now, so that should be easy to find. My point is that I have a whiteboard here, which you can't see. I have another camera that I bought for this 2-camera setup that I can't seem to quite get to work. But at any rate, I have a document, a PDF that I posted on threefoldlotus.com on the core studies page with all the green buttons, called MyoHoRenGe. It's right near the top. And you can see my cliff notes, not really cliff notes, my outline for the talk I want to do with, I love to draw on that whiteboard. Anyway, if you've read the chapter and you've seen the video on this channel, and there's a video, by the way, I should say, on this channel, you can look up from the search on the homepage, not the YouTube search, but the search on the homepage, on how to use the resource. It goes through all of that. But there's also a video called Wuji, From Wuji to You and Me. Roughly the title, Wuji is in the title. If you do that search, you'll come up with a few videos. It's based on a chapter I wrote many years ago on the concept of MyoHoRenGeKyo and the concept of potential and quiescent energy, and how all of those are different ways of thinking about the same thing. And Ho and Renge and Kyo. Anyway, so that will be a fun video. Obviously I needed to get it out. I can't stop talking about it. I wish I was doing it, but I will. It will happen. In the meantime, let's continue with this Gosho, this writing of Nichiren's, whose title I always forget. I think it's on the Daimoku of the Lotus Sutra. It's really that simple, if I can ever find the page. The entity of the wonderful and difficult to understand law. Yes, of course. Question. How do we know that these two interpretations can be used and that the title can be taken as both entity and metaphor? When the great teacher Nanhui explained the 5 characters MyoHoRenGeKyo, he said Myo indicates that all living beings are Myo, or wonderful and difficult to understand. Ho indicates that all living beings are Ho, or the law, the manifestation of the engine of life. Renge, or lotus, Renge process, lotus metaphor, is a metaphor that is employed here. It would seem that, would it not, that both Nanhue and Tendai interpreted the lotus as a metaphor. Once again, the interlocutor here, which is Nichiren, he's displaying how stubborn his students can be and humanity can be in getting stuck in picture land. Right? Our eyeballs, our attachment. Oh, that's a thing. Now I know that thing. I own that thing. Whether it's in your pocket or in your mind, you own it, you see? And what they're missing constantly is the entity of it, what the metaphor is describing, which is what I want to talk about in the video, the kyo. We hear this translation constantly, especially in the West, of dharma and kyo as teaching. But that's such a cop-out. That's not what dharma is. That's not what kyo is. It references the teaching because in order for you to get an experience, an aha moment, an insight, oh, in anything in life, you have to be directed to it. Right? Until you know to look up in the sky, you don't know what it is to see the stars at night. When you see them, wow, that experience, that's the dharma, that's the kyo. Not the person tapping you on the shoulder and go, hey, dude, look up. All of Shakyamuni's teachings, all of Tendai's teachings, all of Nichiren's teachings are about, hey, dude, look up. This is why I say constantly, no one can push you or give you or take away from you or hold back your Buddha-ness. Because all you got to do is look up, experience it. But all of that talk, all of those sermons, all of those letters, yes, they are the teaching, but they only have one goal, one point. The point ain't the teachings. Right? How obvious is that? The teachings are about look, experience. That experience, that's kyo. That's the dharma. And that is why, and hopefully this will make sense to you now, that when you look up and experience the night sky and the stars, when you chant Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo and you enlighten your mind, then the teachings leading to it, they're no longer what? Necessary? They're cool to have, but they shift from being an encouragement, an inspiration, and a pointer to the experience to being something in your pocket you can use to now discuss with others. They're of no use to you because you've now experienced. So it serves little purpose to instruct you once again how to get there. You've gotten there. All you need to do is repeat it. Keep it going, right? So this is when you hear the Dharma is no Dharma. Because the experience is everything. The conversation, the talking about it, the words, the expedient means, everything that gets you to MyoHoRenGeKyo becomes irrelevant to the experience of Buddha-ness. Then it's just a matter of doing it. You can't tell me that every time you get up off of a chair and walk to another room that you have to re-instruct yourself on what it is to stand up, balance on your feet, put one foot in front of the other. No. You don't need to hear that. You don't need to think it. You just need to walk. MyoHoRenGeKyo. That's the Dharma. And knowing that that's what we call that experience, you no longer need a label for it. The true Dharma experience is there is no Dharma. Just do it. Makes sense, right? Unfortunately, this rhetoric, the way we talk about things today, not 800 years old. So you're not hearing it that way. But that's what Nichiren is saying. That's what Tendai was saying. That's what Shakyamuni was saying. I'm going to elevate your thinking until you don't need to do that anymore. Just do it. How do I do it? Okay, we're back to talking about what it is we're trying to do. But once you do it, right? Answer. Nanhui, his interpretation is like that of Tendai. While it is not entirely clear from the sutras that there can be two interpretations, that is, taking the lotus as both entity and metaphor, Nanhui and Tendai discerned these two meanings through the treatises of Vasubandhu and Nagarjuna. See, in their day, Nanhui and Tendai relied on previous scholarship to bolster, to explicate, to substantiate the point they were making, just as Nichiren in this day is doing the same. That is to say, in the treatise on the Lotus Sutra, we read, quote, the words MyoHoRenGe have two meanings. First, they signify the lotus that appears on the surface of the water, so on and so forth, right? You've all heard it. The way in which the lotus emerges from the muddy water is used as a metaphor to explain that the thus come one joins the multitude of listeners, seats himself on the lotus in the same manner as the various bodhisattvas, and expounds on the unsurpassed wisdom of the thus come one and on the enlightened state of purity. The various voice hearers, hearing this, are able to obtain the secret storehouse of the thus come one. That's what I mean about the rhetoric of the teachings. He's just quoting directly from the sutras, and he's asking his interlocutor here to go, hello, have you not been paying attention? And so as I speak to you, I am saying this whole lotus metaphor is about you and I, the bodhisattvas from under the earth, have come into existence like the lotus on the water, prepared for what? The moment that lotus blossoms, boom, sets a seed, the experience of Renge, the enlightenment of Buddha-ness. So the Buddha, the thus come one, appearing on the lotus is the Renge. It's the awakening available to all bodhisattvas, as we are, lotus blossoms, on the water being the flow, the momentum of life. You see, it's very clear. Maybe not until now. Hopefully it is now. Second, he goes on, the words MyoHoRenGe signify the lotus opening up. This is a metaphor explaining that the ordinary beings, you and I, though exposed to the Mahayana teachings, are timid and fearful in mind and incapable of taking resolve and conviction in them. Therefore, the Thus Come One opens or reveals his Dharma body, the experience of Buddha-ness, in its purity and wonder, awakening in them the mind of resolve and conviction. Once you experience Buddha-ness, you can then commit to it. Oh, that's what Buddha-ness is. Yeah, give me more of that. Single-mindedly seeking the Buddha. You see the consistency constantly? In this passage, the word various, in the phrase the various bodhisattvas, refers to the fact that the bodhisattvas of both the Mahayana and Hinayana teachings, upon arriving on the scene when the Lotus Sutra is being preached, when the MyoHoRenGeKyo is being preached, are able for the first time to understand the lotus of the Buddha, the experience of enlightenment. This is clear from the above passage in Treatise on the Lotus Sutra. Therefore, we know that the statement that the bodhisattvas had already gained entrance to enlightenment through the various sutras was no more than an expedient. Right? Everything that brought you to experiencing Renge is now just, it was the ride to the party, not the party. It was essential that you got a ride or you'd never get to the party. But once you're in the party, the ride, irrelevant. Right? Tendai explains this passage of the treatise on the Lotus Sutra as follows. Quote, if we are to explain the meaning of the treatise, we would say that when the Thus Come One causes ordinary beings to see the Dharma body, the engine of the experience of the engine of life, in its purity and wonder, he is showing them that the lotus that opens through a wonderful and difficult to understand cause, invoking it, and then when the Thus Come One enters the multitude of listeners and seats himself on a lotus, he is indicating that the land produced as a wonderful and difficult to understand reward is itself the lotus. The three bodies all happening at once. We've discussed this many times, right? Again, when Tendai wishes to give a detailed explanation of the dual interpretation of the lotus as both the experience and the metaphor, he quotes the passage from the Great Collection Sutra that reads, quote, I now bow in reverence before the lotus of the Buddha, end quote. And the passage in the treatise on the Lotus Sutra that has just been quoted to support his argument, as he explains, quote, according to the Great Collection Sutra, the lotus is both the cause and the effect of our Buddhist practice. It says here religious, but that's, shouldn't say that. Where is it? There it is. Nope. When the bodhisattvas seat themselves on the lotus, this is the lotus of the cause. Think of it as seating yourself before your Butsudan open with your mirror, your Buddha mirror in front of you, so that your samsaric senses can focus on it instead of all the distractions. This is the lotus of the cause, right? You're putting yourself in the position of you're committing to now I'm going to awaken. But the lotus of the Buddha that one bows before in reverence is the lotus of the effect. So the mandala acts as taking your cause and turning it into the result. But it requires you to invoke it. It doesn't do it. It's just a representation of that door that's waiting to be kicked open in your mind. You need to act upon it. Or according to the treatise on the Lotus Sutra, the land surrounding one is the lotus. What does that mean? The land surrounding you. Your experience. Isn't that what the land surrounding you is? It is the very expression of your experience. That's why there's no separation there. That's an illusion. You and your environment are an expression of your life condition. As one of you pointed out in an email to me, that's the meaning of the 3,000 realms. It's all happening all the time. And the way it seems to you, your environment, is a reflection of your experience, your depth of compassion and experience and knowing and awareness. So judging it, begrudging it, struggling with it, it's senseless. What's the key is good, bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever your judgments are, they need to go over here with the monkeys, and you need to experience all of it with compassion. Oh, there is struggling here. There is doubt here. MyoHoRenGeKyo. Let's throw some sparks into that. Let's realize that some things aren't as developed as others. That's okay, but please, this way. Always be the nurturing one toward Buddha-ness. Oh, you're not quite there. It's okay. You're on your way. I love you for that. No, I won't engage in the struggle with you because the struggle is an illusion. MyoHoRenGeKyo. Yes. Always. But our samsaric self wants to go, put them up, put them up. You don't get it. Well, maybe they don't. But they're planting the seeds. Sooner or later, they have to come out of that poisoned environment. They have to. Look, the Dragon King's daughter was able to do it. Right? This struggle has been known, talked about certainly, dissected by Shakyamuni 3,000 years ago, and every scholar of Buddhism since. The land surrounding one is the lotus. What's there to argue about? This is enlightenment. This is the Buddha land. What are you struggling with? Karma. Karma. Shut up, monkeys. Right? That is, the bodhisattvas, by practicing the law of the MyoHoRenGeKyo, are as a result able to obtain the land of the lotus, the pure land, the perception, abiding moment to moment of this amazing engine of life, this momentum. Thus, we should understand that the objective realm, and the subjective being who depends upon it, the cause, that is the bodhisattva, and the effect, that is the Buddha, are all the law of the Renge, or lotus. Every other anxiety or pain, that's samsaric delusion. Set it aside. It's not required. It's an obstacle. It's a distraction. Therefore, what we need is there to employ metaphors. What is there? Why do we need to employ those metaphors? They're not the experience. But because dull-witted people There's no punches pulled here. Because we're unaware, because we're so stuck in identity, because dull-witted people cannot understand the lotus of the essential nature of phenomena, the experience of Buddhiness. An ordinary lotus is introduced as a metaphor to assist them. What harm is there in that? Well, the harm, if you will, is self-imposed, because those who latch on to the lotus as enlightenment aren't getting it. It's a metaphor for your Buddhiness being there all along, and instantiation creates experience. The rest of it is unimportant. And elsewhere he says, quote, if we do not use a lotus, then what are we to employ as a metaphor for all the various teachings that have been described above? He just said a mouthful, right? It's like every sentence in these letters is so full of significance. When he says, if not the lotus, then what are we going to use as a mental, a cognitive reference, something to help explore this potential of mind that will represent Kyo, Dharma, all of the inspiration, push, enlightened, awakening, so that you can turn the light on. What would we use for all of that? It is because the law and the metaphor are expounded side by side that we refer to them by the phrase MyoHoRenGe, which is what my whole whiteboard discussion is going to be about. MyoHo being potential, instantiating. By the way, that's the whole point. Renge, get it? This whole 3,000 realms is an engine, moment to moment, successively, the momentum of it has its own instantiation, its own reality. Don't look at the footprints, the tire tracks. That may be entertaining, but that's not what makes you, you. The past is gone. It's just the past. What you're experiencing moment to moment right now, that's everything happening with you, for you, to witness, to experience. Get stuck in that moment to moment being, and all of that judgment and problems and obstacles you will realize isn't here anymore. That's baggage you're dragging along. Let it go. Be in the spectacular moment, into the momentum as it carries us along. Like the lotus blossoming has already guaranteed its next blossom. That's why we use that as a metaphor. But what is it a metaphor for? The mind. The mind that sees itself projecting into time, future, not the past. What a powerful statement. Do you see why I've said it before? This particular Go show is near and dear to my practice, my heart, my mind, my understanding, my debt to Nichiren for being able to put all of this into one writing so that my silly human mind could go, oh, I get it. Next, we come to the Great Perfection of Wisdom by Bodhisattva Nagarjuna. He's going to bring everyone into this, which states, quote, "The lotus represents both the law itself and a metaphor for it." The whole reason for this, the title of this teaching, the wonderful and difficult to understand Lotus teaching, is that this teaching is about instantiating Buddha-ness, the accomplishment itself in your own mind. That's what Lotus is about. That's what the Lotus Sutra is about. Self-enlightenment, self-manifesting Buddha-ness, awareness of the moment and the momentum of the moment into the next. The great teacher Dengyo, explaining the above passage from the treatise of Vasubandhu and Nagarjuna, writes as follows, quote, "The passage in the treatise on the Lotus Sutra says that the lotus of what is called MyoHoRenGeKyo has two meanings. It does not say that an ordinary lotus has two meanings." That's interesting to point out. He knows he's talking to humans, Dengyo does, and he knows how attached people get to things. So the two meanings aren't about the thing. They're about the thing not being the thing. That's two meanings. But that's not how we ordinarily think. As samsaric beings, we just collect. So he goes on to say, "It does not say that an ordinary lotus has two meanings. On the whole, what is admirable here is the fact that the law and the metaphor that is used for it resemble each other. If they did not resemble each other, then how could the metaphor help people understand the meaning?" Indeed. That is why the Great Perfection of Wisdom says that the lotus is both the law itself and a metaphor for it. A single mind, the entity of MyoHoRenGeKyo. Now, think about this sentence. A single mind, your sentient mind, is the entity of MyoHoRenGeKyo. Why? Not because it's a thing, right? Can you grab your mind? Where is it? Oh, it's in my left arm. No. It is the entity. The emergence of your sentience is itself the engine of life. There it is. A single mind, the entity of MyoHoRenGeKyo, simultaneously brings to maturity both the blossom of cause and the calyx of effect. Remember, we talked about calyx. This concept is difficult to understand, but through the use of a metaphor, it can be made easier to understand. The teaching that fully sets forth this principle is called MyoHoRenGeKyo. Just starting to gel. These passages from the treatises and their explanations quoted here will make the matter clear, and one should therefore examine them carefully. Nothing is hidden or held back, and hence the dual explanations of the lotus as both entity and metaphor are fully expounded. Now I'm going to stop here. Well, I hope that you're finding in this writing, in this letter, in this go-show, the same excitement that I find. This constant circling around of the same essential point. That the process that is occurring right now, moment to moment, in your sentient mind, which is not an organ, it's not in you, it's an emergent property of being, is itself Buddha-ness. To stay in that mind as it is happening, occurring, moment to moment. That is our practice of Buddhism. Because the moment we slip from that mind into thisness, the apparatus, the hanging on to, I gotta identify, we're no longer in that mind. We're in this mind. Samsara. That's where all the pain is. We don't want to get rid of it. We need samsara. We need to operate within it, but we need to keep our mind clear. We need to keep our understanding, our experience of life constantly centered on the amazement of the momentum. The opposite of that is arguing about moments that are no longer here. Yesterday you said that. How could you? Where are you? You're all shouting monkeys now. Remember yesterday? Gone. Today? Opportunity. That's not to say be ignorant of samsara, because that's also abundantly not useful. You need to be wise about samsara, right? This is why I say protect yourself, take care of your health, don't get angry with yourself. That doesn't produce results. I mean, I'm one to talk. That's just our human habit, isn't it? Got something living in my eye today. Maybe that was just so I could take my glasses off and look at you straight. Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo. Thank you. Thank you for your practice. Hopefully, this resource helps to bring you to understand how amazing your practice is, how significant it is simply to do a moment-to-moment living. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is total. This is the entire engine of life. This is the universe happening right now for me to witness. How amazing. What's that cast on your foot? Oh, stupidity. Something samsaric that I did it's going to heal, and that's just body. That's just the apparatus. Look up here. Look at the mind. Look at what's happening. Yeah, it's giving me some physical pain. That pain from a previous obstacle. I can't let that pain distract me, take me away from this. Look at this. This is amazing. Difficult to understand, but wonderful. Difficult to understand. Difficult to stay in. Oh, I need to chant. Yeah. Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo. Thank you. Thank you for please liking and subscribing. It's so important to grow this channel. And we are eking along, growing slowly. Right? I watch, I see. Thank you. If you just recently subscribed, thank you. Right, we'll get 2 or 3 new subscribers, and then we'll lose 1 or 2, and then we'll get some more. Right? Some people maybe just don't like the way that I present the information, or maybe they're just not ready. We're all different, and we attract differences but we're all one in Buddhahood. We're all one in Buddhaness. We're all sentient minds. That's equal. There are no differences. It's the samsaric stuff. It's the monkey mind that makes things, I can't listen to that person. Oh, they're saying something I don't want to hear. Well, I'm sorry. MyoHoRenGeKyo. Dude, just chant. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for your kindnesses, your emails, your practice, number one. Not about me. Just want to make this resource as useful as possible. Yeah. The bookstore, the mandala store, the threefoldlotus.com site, all there to support your practice. And patrons who are helping to pay the bills and keep this going, thank you, thank you. You're helping all of us. Bodhisattvas, take care of yourself, take care of your health. Be kind to yourself. What's the point in not being kind to yourself? Right? Okay. With that, I'm going to let you go. Thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Bye for now. Myo